ahead, Mariah.
You got it. Good morning, buenos dias, yabu, yate abene. Good. So happy everybody's here on the call. We're gonna call the meeting to order first, right, Rose? And do we need a motion? No, we don't need a motion for that. And go into roll call.
Yeah, you're calling the meeting to order at 11:02.
At 11:02 a.m.
Okay, and
Great.
I'll help you with the roll call, um, which is,
I have the list right here too, Rose, if you'd like me to start.
oh, go ahead.
All right. Diana Kudiai,
I'm here.
present. Linda Curley,
Present.
Darren Lance,
Here.
Mariah, which is me, I'm here. Cheryl Lee Francis,
I'm here.
Kimberly Hosky, all right, second call, Kimberly Hosky. Looks like not in attendance. Okay. Moana, can you pronounce it for me, please, Moana?
Loma Ombaya.
Moana Loma Ombaya.
I'm here.
Daryl Marks. Daryl Marks. Okay, go ahead and mark is not present. Marion Marshall. Marion Marshall. Okay, not present. That is everybody on the call. We're going to go ahead and move to the land acknowledgement. We assign that to Commissioner Kudiai this morning.
Thank you. The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Kudiai. Beautifully spoken. At this time, any member of the public may address the Commission on any subject within their jurisdiction that is not scheduled before the Commission on this day for public comment. So this is going to be outside of our agenda, maximum 3 minutes per individual, if anybody from the public would like to share anything. Okay, going once, going twice. We're going to move on to the next item on the agenda for approval of minutes. The minutes, do I have a motion to approve of the minutes for our February meeting?
Did you see them where it says minutes are not available at this time?
Okay, thank you, Rose.
And they will be on the next agenda. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, and now to general business. I see it in parentheses for a possible vote. Rose, could you share more? Are we going to decide what order to go in? Or...
Okay, for this agenda item, once Miss Kristen does her presentation, at the end she's going to request selection of a panel representation for this next event that they're going to provide. So that will be a vote on that, on who you'd like to represent the commission.
Okay, perfect. So go, just hand it off to Kristen now. Perfect. Thank you for the patience this morning, Indigenous Commission. I'm getting the hang of leading it in the event. Our chair, Darren Lance, our Commissioner Lance, is unable to attend.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm not able to see anyone's face, so thank you. Okay, well, thanks for having me today. Again, my name is Kristen Crujito, and I am the Beautification Arts and Sciences Project Administrator. And I am here to provide updates on year 2 of the Multicultural County Park Sculpture Exhibition. And this exhibition, it's an annual exhibition. It's presented in partnership with Coconino County, and it runs from May through March of each year. And it is installed at the Elizabeth Liz C. Archuleta County Park. And it features 5 sculptures, which highlight diverse cultures, including Indigenous, Black, and Latino. So today, I'm going to present a few things. Here's an overview of my presentation. So we'll talk briefly about the project background, our future goals, and then the most exciting part, which is a sneak peek of the artwork selected for the 2025-2026 exhibition that opens in May. So for the sake of time today, I am not going to show the project video, but if you haven't had the opportunity to view it, please do so. It provides more information about the background of this project and the community benefits and the project vision. And it features interviews with participating artists and City of Flagstaff staff and Coconino staff, Coconino County, excuse me, staff. And it's just a beautifully done video. So please, when you have the opportunity, spend a few minutes viewing it. So as most of you know, the Elizabeth Liz C. Archuleta County Park is sited in a location that is steeped in history. It has a rich history, as you can see here, and it has had that history for more than 100 years. The area surrounding the park, the area surrounding the exhibition location, is racially and culturally diverse. It includes young professionals, families, and NAU students. The park is visited by residents of Flagstaff, by out-of-town visitors, and it is also frequented by individuals and families of Coconino County Juvenile Court and the detention facility. And they speak about the healing qualities of nature, being enveloped in nature, and the fact that there is now artworks on site to aid in that healing process is just fantastic. So that's something that we're really proud of. All of this information, the project background, the location of the park, etc., this was provided in the call to artists that goes out each and every year. And as you will see, or actually as stated previously, there are 5 large-scale sculptures that are featured in this exhibition. And so these can be new works of art that the artists create in anticipation of the exhibition, or they can be existing artworks. But either way, they're loaned to the city for the duration of the exhibition from May through March each year. And one of the most important criteria is that the artwork must be suitable for the exterior location. It has to be able to withstand Flagstaff's weather. So that includes, direct sunlight, it includes the snow, and of course, the rains that come with our monsoon season. So the call is disseminated nationally, but we really focus our outreach efforts on local artists and regional artists. That's very important. And here's just a snapshot of all of the things that we do each year with regard to outreach. So we do lots of targeted emails. We share the opportunity with local organizations like Creative Flagstaff, statewide organizations like Arizona Commission on the Arts, and then regional organizations in New Mexico, Nevada, and Colorado. We also last year attended the Tucson Sculpture Festival Show and Sale, which was really instrumental for us. And one of the artists who was displaying their work there is actually going to be in the 2025-2026 exhibition. We also attended flea markets in Gallup, Tuba, and Kayenta as well, doing some additional outreach along the Colorado Plateau. So we have lots of selection panelists for the exhibition. We have a representative from each of the councils and commissions that you see here participate. They have the very difficult task of going through each submission. And again, we had 31 this last round. Discussing the artworks and then scoring the artwork. So I want to give a special thank you to Diana, who represented the Indigenous Commission this past year. Thank you, Diana, for your participation and also your commentary and your insights. And also a thank you to Rose, who serves as our community liaison on this project. So this project has a vision. It's had a vision since day one, and you'll be able to learn more about that vision when you watch the video. We want to continue to grow this exhibition, continue conducting outreach across the Colorado Plateau and to the region to diversify the scope of applications that we receive. We want to continue to foster the artistic talent of local artists. So there's so many artists in our community who might not think of themselves as public artists, but their artwork would translate from 2D to 3D. And I have lots of conversations with interested artists. I connect them to fabricators down in the valley who can bring their ideas and their sculptures to life. So we're hoping that more and more local artists continue to apply in the years to come. So now here's a little preview of the 2025-2026 exhibition. First, we have Athul Tlachinoi by Oliverio Balcells, and this is a tribute to the artist's Mexican heritage. And it is specifically to his Mesoamerican heritage as well. So this sculpture is fabricated from steel. It stands approximately 5 feet tall, and it depicts the Mesoamerican astronomical concept where the dry season, which is represented in red, meets the rainy season, represented in blue, and the sun is at its highest zenith. So Oliverio has 2 sculptures currently on exhibit. And the current exhibition, by the way, ends March 15th. And I encourage all of you to go out there and check it out if you haven't done so. And this is another piece by him that we are fortunate enough to exhibit in year 2 of this project. Next, we have Wings of Ancestors by Isaac Caruso. So this really is a tribute to our ancestors and to older generations. It features 2 sets of hands. Our ancestors' hands are represented, they're the larger hands. We are the smaller set of hands. And it also includes a bench. So we as viewers are invited to sit on this bench and be enveloped in this beautiful, this beautiful shadow that is the wings of our ancestors. This artwork is fabricated from reclaimed ponderosa pine, which will be locally sourced, and it stands about 12 feet tall and 8 feet wide. Next, we have Celestial Juggler by Joe Ray. So this is fabricated from aluminum, and it stands approximately 6 feet tall. And this, like the previous 2 artworks, will be a newly created piece just for this exhibition. This depicts an Aztec priest who is juggling the heavens. He's charting the cosmos, and it also pays homage to Flagstaff's astronomical history as well. And then finally, we have an existing work. This is called The Thunderstorm by Adrian Wall. Adrian is from Jemez Pueblo in New Mexico, and he is very much interested in climate change and how climate change is affecting rain and storms in the Southwest, and particularly on Indigenous lands. This artwork is approximately 6 feet tall. It's fabricated from stone, and it is currently on exhibit. I believe the exhibit might have just ended at the Santa Fe Botanical Garden exhibition. So we're lucky to have Adrian as an artist in this next iteration of the exhibition, and to be able to display this sculpture. And then finally, we have an artwork by Lance Yazzie. It is called Changing Woman, and it will also be a newly created artwork. It represents the deity responsible for the first Navajo clans. This artwork will stand approximately 6 feet tall and about 2.5 feet wide. And Lance also has a Navajo weaving in stone on exhibit at the currently at Liz Archuleta Park. And if you haven't, again, please, if you haven't gone out there to see the exhibition, please do so. It's beautiful. So how can you get involved? Well, the first way is to attend the opening reception of year 2 of this project. That is scheduled for Monday, May 19th at 10 a.m. And I've sent a save the date out. I'm not sure if I sent it. I know I sent it to you, Rose. I'm not sure if I sent it to your co-chairs, but if you can please disseminate that to the Indigenous Commission, that would be wonderful. We'd love all of you to attend. There will be remarks by the City of Flagstaff and also Coconino County, and also the artists will be in attendance to provide remarks as well, and more information about their sculptures and their artistic journey. And then, believe it or not, we are gearing up to do outreach for the 2026-2027 exhibition. So that call will be distributed in June of 2025. It'll close in July of 2025. When that call is ready to go out, I will send it again to all of you. And I ask that you please distribute it to your networks. If you know of any artists who might want to participate, that would be wonderful. And then finally, we ask that there is representation from the Indigenous Commission to serve on the selection panel. So we ask that you put forth an individual to participate once again this year. And then, are there any questions? And also, thank you for letting me participate today.
I just had a little piece of feedback. March 19th is a Wednesday, and I know that because I just scheduled something for March 17th, which is the Monday. Just
Oh goodness, did I say March? I meant May.
Oh, did I
Let
read
me-
March? Sorry. I may have
Hopefully you
just
didn't.
rushed.
Sorry, Moana. Let me check. Let me make sure that I sent that email out
I've had
correctly.
back-to-back meetings today. Maybe I'm just going crazy.
Oh no, Monday, May 19th. But I
Okay.
probably said March.
Sorry.
Monday, so we have time. So hopefully you're able to participate and attend. Any other questions?
Hi, Kristen. This is Commissioner Francis, and I don't know if you would have capability in your end since you said you couldn't see us, but is it possible to see you?
I can see you now. I just stopped sharing my screen, and you can see me. See if this works again. Here I am.
That's great.
Sorry, my apologies. I was off. I'm working from home today and have some connectivity issues, so I didn't want to freeze during my presentation. But
No, completely understandable. I just want to make sure if I saw you in town, I want to make, know that I know who you are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Kristen is awesome.
You're very sweet. Thank you.
So Kristen and some of her team members are located in the Hopi building because we didn't have enough room at City Hall. So
But we
yeah,
make our rounds.
she'll be downtown, maybe having some coffee with some of these artists and whatnot downtown. So
Kristen, I may have missed it, but what does the time commitment look like for someone serving on the selection panel? I see the dates on when it occurs. Is it a weekly meeting, monthly?
It's a one-time in-person meeting. And as Diana can probably attest, it requires a time commitment, specifically in preparation of that meeting itself. So about a week and a half to 2 weeks before the meeting, I will send the selection panel the proposals, and they're asked to review them in detail, and there's a lot of information in there. So that's time consuming, but that takes about anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. And then they attend a meeting. And this past meeting was 3 hours, and we had 31 proposals. I'm expecting a substantial increase in proposals for this year. So it'll definitely be a minimum of 3 hours. We might break it up into 2 days, maybe one 3-hour meeting and another hour meeting to get through the remaining proposals. And then after that meeting, you just you score the proposals. So I would say probably about a 6-hour commitment in total to participate.
Perfect.
And Kristen, when does that begin?
That meeting will be the first week in August. So I will send out the packets at the end of July, which can also be problematic. I know a lot of individuals and families are traveling in July, but we will meet in early August. So hopefully that works. Yes.
Hey, Kristen, this is Commissioner Lance. Got a question for you.
Sure.
So how long has this been going on now, and when did it start?
This is the second year, but it had been planned for many, many years, and there were a multitude of conversations that occurred between Coconino County and the city of Flagstaff. And it originally started because the Indigenous Circle of Flagstaff wanted more representation in the city, and to include public art. And so Rose and Jana, who was my supervisor, were very instrumental in taking that suggestion and moving forward in conversations with the county to create this project. And it has expanded from solely an Indigenous perspective to include multicultural representation since then.
Great, that's awesome. Yeah, I've gone to that park and walked around there a couple times over the years, but I have seen the sculptures and the artwork out there. Pretty impressive.
It is. We have incredible artists, and this currently this next iteration, and I just can't wait to see the scope of work in the years to come.
So if you see the video that was sent to you, the link on YouTube, that will explain a lot of how it all started. But going back to the recommendations that were made to City Council through the grassroots movement of Indigenous Circle of Flagstaff, that occurred back in 2017. And then Jen and I both came to the city in 2020. So that's when we started working on more of the real discussions on how to get this implemented.
Great. Good job. Thank you.
Kristen, this is Commissioner Francis again. Who did your video? I'm looking through it right now.
Oh, Outlive Creative. They are fantastic. They are the best videographer or video team I've ever worked with. Their specialty is storytelling, and they delivered. We were very hands off. We We had a meeting with them about the project, our vision, what we wanted to communicate out to the community, and they took it from there. And just so professional and incredible visual storytellers. I can't recommend them enough.
Question. Okay, can you do that downstairs, or are you plugged in up here for a reason? Can you plug in downstairs?
Hi, Sarah. We're hearing your conversation. Okay.
Oh, and
So
real quickly, sorry, Kristen. Sorry, Rose. Where are they out of?
They are out of Phoenix.
Thank you.
This is Diana. Are we making a selection today or no?
I would think that we should make a selection today, because I feel like the sooner that we have this person on board, Kristen and her team can move forward with the planning.
And Rose, did you want me to stick around for that, or do you just want to notify me over email? I defer to you.
We can notify you.
Okay.
But if you want to stick around, that's fine too.
Oh, that's okay. I will go eat my lunch. But thanks again. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you so much. And I'll see you in May at the unveiling.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you,
Bye.
Kristen.
Bye.
All right, co-chair, if you take the lead on nominations or volunteering to be on this commission, and then you vote who you want to represent the Indigenous Commission.
Okay, we'll open it up to our commissioners if anybody would like to nominate someone on the commission or themselves, and then we'll put it to a vote to the group.
This is Diana. I've done this before, so I don't mind doing it again. I'm not artsy, but it was a really eye-opening for me. Not that I'm interviewed for the position, but it was eye-opening. And I mean, I did photography and all that a long time ago, but this type of work is such an amazement of talent from people, and their interpretation is very interesting as well. So I don't mind doing it again. I have the time to commit to it. I know everybody else seems to be working, and this is a perks of being semi-retired. So unless somebody else wants to do it.
Okay, well, we've got Commissioner Curley nominating you, so we'll put that down. Anybody else interested?
Commissioner Zavala, this is Commissioner Francis. How many, is there only a minimum of one, or can there be multiple?
They only ask for one, mainly because there's going to be other commissions that they're going to pick from. And then also the county's advisory councils, they're also going to pick from.
Yeah, they're gonna have a lot of people in there.
Oh, so if this is Diana again. So I'm on the advisory committee also. So if anybody from the Indigenous Commission want to be on there, that would be okay, because then I can say with that advisory council, I can put my name in for that too.
If that is okay, then I'd like to nominate, this is Commissioner Francis. I'd like to participate.
Awesome.
Commissioner
Perfect.
Cuddy, were you talking about the police advisory
No,
committee? Oh, okay.
this is the County Indigenous Peoples Advisory Council.
Oh, okay. Something else. Got it.
Okay, and I was going to nominate Commissioner Francis as well. So we have Commissioner Francis and Commissioner Kudiai as our two candidates for the for this project. Do we want to limit it to that, Rose?
This is Diana again. I am withdrawing my.
Okay.
So I would like to go with Cheryl Lee Francis.
Commissioner Lance,
Okay.
I'll go ahead and nominate Commissioner Francis also.
Okay, great. So we've got Commissioner Francis as our candidate for the project. So we'll just put it to a vote to follow the rules
We
of
need a
order,
second,
or a second motion or a second vote.
a second to the motion.
A second to the motion to approve of Commissioner Francis onto this project, correct?
Oh, so Co-Chair Lance made a motion. We need to second that.
So I'll motion that.
Okay.
And unless there's no
Oh.
others, you know. So I don't know if you're closing the nominations.
If anybody else wanted to jump in.
Okay, we just need a commissioner to second the motion
I'll second it.
and then vote.
All right, all in favor of Commissioner Francis representing the commission for this beautification project, put a thumbs up on your screen or thumbs up on camera.
Approve.
Approve.
Can you everybody say aye for the vote and then nays for not agreeing?
Mhm.
That would be helpful because we are recording it, so sometimes it's better to say it.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed.
Okay, yay! Commissioner Francis, thank you for donating your time to be on that project. You're a great fit. I'm so excited to hear your takeaways from it.
Co-Chair, you're in charge.
Yep, next on the agenda, open meeting law refresher training. So we've got Georgiana Stasky, the Deputy City Clerk, that will provide a presentation on open meeting law, which is provided from the City of Flagstaff boards and commissions, and then the discussion will follow with a Q&A.
Awesome. And I, unfortunately, following the theme, have having pretty bad connectivity issues. So if I drop off for whatever reason, I would love to come back next month. I'm hoping to attend anyways, but I'd love to come back next month and finish. But I will get as far as I can and hopefully not drop off. So thank you for that introduction. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Georgiana, you got muted.
Oh no. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Just all right. So in December we had a couple commissioners join. So Moana and Shirley, thank you so much for serving the community. And Daryl Marks for your continued service on the commission. We really appreciate your guys' time. Okay. Is it moving forward for anyone?
It doesn't seem to be advancing.
Yeah.
Hang on one moment. I apologize. Let me reshare. Okay. Okay. So boards and commissions make recommendations to council. Council can
accept those recommendations. They can also ask for changes or maybe send it back for further consideration. And they can also not accept the recommendations. So that's kind of the options council have when things do come forward. So a couple things there that can happen, and commissions have a big role in making those, and the staff liaisons. So staff liaisons role, they ensure compliance with open meeting law, and they answer any questions related to city policies or procedures. They can also coordinate with other departments or commissions for collaboration. And they are also the one responsible for making those recommendations, presenting those to council when they're ready. So most of our boards and commissions are advisory. So they do fall into that category. And again, that primary responsibility of making that recommendation to council. A common kind of sub-working group, which we'll get into a little bit after this slide, is ad hoc, where those subgroups have a specific issue maybe they're looking into, and they provide recommendations from there to the commission. And then we have quasi-judicial, and this type of board or commission is the only other type of body that can make decisions. So Board of Adjustment, Fire Code, Board of Appeals, they can actually make decisions like council could make decisions. Oh, no. Okay. I'm not sure where. Okay, so quasi-judicial, if that part was not muted for, is a type that can make decisions. So they are the only other body that has that authority to make decisions. So like Board of Adjustment or Fire Code, Board of Appeals, they will make decisions and can make decisions similar to how council would versus advisory, which is the recommendation. Oh, it keeps muting me and I don't know why.
You made it through quasi-judicial, so you're right on cue.
I can't see the teams, so then when I go back to it, it just is showing mute again. So subcommittees and informal working groups can come from commissions. Subcommittees have a specific duty or role. So for example, the Transportation Commission does have the Bicycle Advisory Committee and the Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and they have specific duties that they are over. And then there's informal working groups, which is kind of what I was referencing before. Informal working groups are created to research, gather information, and provide recommendations back to the commission for specific purposes. And what's really cool about informal working groups is that they can also consist of members of the public and less than a quorum, which is a little bit different depending on how many people are on each commission, but less than a quorum of commission members. And all the information and recommendation from the working group is presented to the commission, and that's where it kind of falls into the open meeting law, which we'll go over. And another great thing about the informal working groups is because there's not a quorum, there doesn't have to be agendas, formal agendas or minutes. They can really work on specific projects and dedicate quite a bit of time, and then bringing that information back to the commission where they can have that open meeting law and go over things in the public view, but it just allows a little bit of more flexibility and more involvement from the community. All right, so kind of going into open meeting law a little bit here, there's two core concepts. All meetings of a public body shall be public meetings, and all persons so desiring shall be permitted to attend and listen to the deliberations and proceedings. And the second core concept is that it is a public policy of the state that meetings of public bodies be conducted, and that notices and agendas be provided for such meetings, which contain information as is reasonable, necessary to inform the public of the matters discussed or decided. And so we'll kind of dive into what that means, but just kind of high level, that's kind of the two main concepts. So why do we have open meeting law? There's a couple main points here. The first one to go over is because it protects the public. It ensures that, the government's not making any decisions in secret or commissions, and kind of allows for that input there. And it also promotes accountability to encourage public officials to act responsibly and reasonably. And then the next point there is to protect public officials. And there's a couple sub-bullets there. It helps public officials to not feel excluded. Everyone knows about the meetings. Rose does a wonderful job, for example, of letting you guys all know well in advance agendas and minutes, and that way you don't feel blindsided, and we're all able to have good, productive conversations from the items on the agenda. This helps maintain the integrity of the government, better informed citizenry, and just that building the trust between the government and citizens as well. So what constitutes as a meeting? I'm sure most of you know this already by now, but just kind of the gathering in person or through technological devices of a quorum in which there's discussion, proposing or taking action, including deliberations. This day and age, that also includes telephone and email communications. So a couple of tips there. And again, I know Rose does a great job of this as well, but you're probably BCC'd on a lot of emails. And that's because we don't want to be replying all, and then suddenly we're talking about maybe items on an agenda altogether where the public doesn't have access. And any emails regarding the commission is also public record. So even if you're using your own computer, if you're replying all or talking to the commission, other commission members, especially where there's a quorum about, commission business, then we could run into some penalties, which we'll go over later. But it is all public record. So someone from the public could request that information, and we would have to provide that. Quorum requirement is a majority of membership. So when there's 7 members, 4, and if you don't have a quorum, then you don't meet. So meetings shall be open to the public and follow requirements of when and where the meeting will occur. Kind of just keeping in mind the accessible and available. So I like to kind of keep those two terms in my mind. So that's why we have the 24-hour public notice is required, and any information to inform the public on matters discussed or decided. So again, that agenda, the public knows exactly what's going to be talked about, and they have advance notice. We have it on the website, we have it at City Hall, and that is accessible. Any legal actions, so motions and votes, must take place in a public meeting. So kind of as Rose was going over too, just the motions and being recorded, it is kind of nice to have the everyone confirming, aye or nay. So that's very helpful. Proposing and discussing of action must take place in the public meeting. Only agenda items can be discussed. The only exception to that rule is for executive sessions. They do require consent of the city attorney, and if you guys get into a position where you need like legal advice for the commission, Rose can coordinate with the city attorney on that. But for those executive sessions, the agenda is posted, but the minutes are not, because it falls under attorney-client privilege, with the commission being the client in that situation. So with open meeting law, there are penalties if someone is found guilty of open meeting law. There can be some fines, which the commissioner, if found guilty, would be responsible for, and they are subject to removal from office. That is why we take a lot of steps, the staff liaisons, our office at the city clerks, to make sure, we're abiding by that open meeting law and providing training and refreshers such as this to make sure everyone feels very aware of, open meeting law, or if they have any questions. So social events can be tricky sometimes. When there's a quorum present, we can post a notice of possible quorum so the public's aware. And that part of that is including a statement that no business will be discussed and no action will be taken. Obviously, it can be a little bit tricky. You can't just or you can't always just avoid people from the commission. And I am so sorry. Hang on just one moment. Apologies for that. So you can't always just avoid people, but if there is a quorum present at a social event, it's always nice maybe to have another extra person there just to ensure that everyone's held accountable and no business is actually discussed. Okay. Moving on along here. So kind of as you've seen today as well, your chair is your presiding officer. And in the absence of the chair or in training, the vice chair can act as chair and be able to run the meetings. Members may speak after recognition by the chair, and the chair shall unreasonably withhold shall not unreasonably withhold such recognition. When two or more members ask to speak, the chair shall determine the order and recognize the first speaker. And while people are speaking, just making sure we're not interrupting anyone. So some other kind of general tips for meetings is refraining from side conversations, turning off your phone or ringers, and waiting for the previous person to finish their comments. Speaking clearly for the audience, again, that recorded component. And if you're unable to attend, making sure you're in contact with your liaison. As a general rule, we don't want people absent more than 2 consecutive meetings. It really prevents the group from being able to have productive meetings if people are out, especially when they don't have notice. So a little bit high level here, and I'm happy to always answer questions or follow up later if you need more information regarding this topic, but a little bit of conflict of interest. There are 2 types, substantial and remote. And substantial is generally any interest that affects your or your relative's financial or property interests. You will refrain from voting or participating, and you have to leave the room. And you also want to make your conflict known on the official record. For remote interests, which is kind of, not as much conflict of interest, or maybe you're unsure, you can always reach out again. But remote interests are financial or property interests. Sorry, my screen just went black for a second. That are minor. And you can still vote, so it doesn't trigger you to need to leave the room. Again, I'm always happy to, if you're ever unsure, reach out to Rose or reach out to me. We can always involve a city attorney, but just making sure that we're aware of the conflict of interest and if that ever comes up. And gifts and bribes is something that, if people are offering you things, especially under context of talking about commission business, but it's just best not to accept any sort of gifts or bribes because they can cause all sorts of issues as well. And so that's what I have. I do know if, there is a lot of information as well in the rules and operations manual. And I provided my email address here as well to, if you have any other questions, feel free to always reach out. And I also just apologize again about my internet issues. It's very windy where I'm at right now. Was there any questions at this time?
Hi, Georgiana. This is Commissioner Francis.
Oh, hello.
Can you give an example on that last slide? I guess it's 13, the conflict of interest, substantial and remote. Can you give an example?
Sure. I will give an example, and if I am wrong, because I am also still a little bit newer, I will ask Stacy to cut me off. But I would like to give it a good shot here for you.
Okay.
So a substantial conflict of interest would be if there is a motion coming forward or business coming forward to the commission, and for a park, and at this park, you're deciding what kind of kiosks to have, and then you own a kiosk that you are wanting to have there. So maybe they're looking at hot dog kiosks, you own a hot dog kiosk, and so you're like, oh, this kiosk, and it's your kiosk that you're wanting to be there. That's going to financially directly impact you. So that would financially impact you. And then a remote interest would be, they're looking for an ice cream kiosk and you have a hot dog kiosk. And so, yes, you have a kiosk that provides services, provides foods, but it's not directly related. You're not financially being impacted by helping choose a kiosk.
Okay, I think I got
Stacy may also have a better example.
No, I think that was a great example. Nice and simplified.
Any other questions? Wonderful. Well, I am available whenever someone does have any other questions. And I'm up in the clerk's office and I hope to attend next month as well. So if anyone thinks of any questions in the meantime, feel free to email over and I can follow up with you.
Great. Thank you, Georgiana. And just clarification, this PowerPoint, it's accessible through the website, or I know we have it right now for the agenda, but it's open to like the public and everything.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a condensed version. The one on the website is the one that new people, new commissioners will review. They sign their training oath. So that's the one that's a little bit more in depth as well. I kind of wanted to just come on and introduce myself too, as I am a little bit newer, and go over kind of a refresher. So you should have this available in the packet. If it wasn't, I'm happy to resend it. But a more in-depth one is actually on the website under the boards and commissions page.
Awesome. And Rose, did you have a question?
Yes, if all the commissioners are done asking questions, I'd like for Georgiana to go over a little bit on responsibilities of the commissioners, what they can and cannot do as far as I had a situation a couple of years ago where a commissioner said in a staff meeting of her own organization where she works at and said that she was speaking on behalf of the commission when she was making statements. And the one of the board members of that agency reached out to me and said, is this something that a commissioner can do? So I just wanted to just clarify that part. And then my other question is, how long before, what would be encouraged for commissioners to do as far as having an excused absence? How long before a meeting?
I think that's a little bit up to a couple things, whether there's a pattern of absences and how well in advance, things do come up that unfortunately you can't plan for all the time, such as weather. So, in some cases where it's, really close to the meeting time, unfortunately I can't make it, let your staff liaison, any notice is better than no notice is what I would say. If you guys as a commission, meet and discuss that there's a certain requirement for that, but any notice is better than no notice. As far as speaking on behalf of the commission, you wouldn't want to speak on behalf of the commission if you're speaking at other organizations. You actually, if anything, would want to kind of remove yourself and say, I'm speaking as a private citizen. Your staff liaison will speak to council, and as far as speaking to other organizations, and unless there was some sort of direction from your commission, you guys have all discussed, and there was, a certain presentation, but you would not speak on behalf of the commission outside of the commission, and definitely not to be representing, commission actions by any means. I will say, just kind of, if there are things like the informal working groups, obviously, you are representing the commission as that member. So there's going to be situations where there's a subcommittee or working group. In that instance, you are, again, because you as a commission decided that person is representing in that capacity. So there are situations where you would be representing the commission, such as a working group, because you guys have all together chosen that person, if that makes sense.
All right. Thank you so much, Georgiana. That helps with a few things that I've wanted to run across. Thank you.
Of course, yeah. And if there's any other questions, always feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on to next item on our agenda. The Flagstaff Regional Land Use Plan. And we have a speaker for that, Rose?
The Sarah Dector is here, and as well as Lauren is here to have that.
Awesome. This will be discussion item B, the Flagstaff Regional Land Use Plan, which received over 2,400 comments during the 60-day public review. There are comments pertaining to Indigenous people in the region and how they are described in the plan and how we may be impacted by some of those policies. So our two representatives here will share additional information, feedback, and pose discussion to us. I'll put it over to you guys.
Thank you. I will turn on my camera really quick, but also hope to, as many people are working from home, as our kids are out of school, I too am, so I'm going to keep my camera off to make sure the snow doesn't mess with us seeing each other's faces. But hi, I'm Sarah, and Lauren Clementino is here as well. Do you want to take a second to introduce yourself, Lauren?
Hey, everyone. I'm actually at City Hall, but I just tried to turn on my camera and it's not working. So, but I'm a senior planner in comprehensive and neighborhood planning and work with Sarah.
Great. So we sent you in a packet that Rose forwarded 2 items. One, we sent you kind of excerpted, which is a word I'm struggling to say at the moment, excerpted pages from the draft Flagstaff Regional Plan that went out for a 60-day review. And then you should have also received a table of comments that are related to how Indigenous people are described and what is said about the relationship of the city as an organization with Indigenous people through this document. The thing I want to say about the plan to start with, just as a context setting moment, is this is inherently a land use plan. And I want to say that it's different than it being a strategic plan. So a strategic plan might say things that we are doing that's relational in the community. And a land use plan is more about how we are going to make specific kinds of decisions that go through the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council. So a strategic plan has a much broader scope than the land use plan. And many of the comments we get all throughout the 2,400 we get are people who want the land use plan to be more strategic. And that is something we've leaned away from in this 4th or 5th or 10th iteration of the document. Because last time the line between what were strategic things and what were land use things became very blurred, and it became very difficult to use the document in some decision-making settings. So we've tried very carefully to tailor everything in the document to land use. And that is why, and I'll pull up the first thing I'm going to share here. When you open the plan, there we go. The first thing we decided to talk about was not just a vision statement, but then also to immediately describe ourselves as a community in a sacred landscape, and to name all the names for the center of our landscape, which is called by the US government, the San Francisco Peaks. But to really make sure that's like a centered beginning part of the plan that does not show up anywhere in the current plan. So there has been a goal, an effort of this document in the times we visited with you to make sure it has centering of Indigenous land use perspectives and feedback throughout the document. And then we sent it out for a 60-day public review. And everyone in the community can comment on that 60-day public review. And we got a lot of feedback, and some of it was from from Indigenous people. And for others, it was about style and terminology describing Indigenous people in the community. And things adjacent to, like, well, how are you describing people who were European settlers, and how are we describing these other things? And I really, in looking at this topic, I've run across a few things that, as a person who is not Indigenous, I could use some instructive feedback to help make a call. There are, and I'm going to start by talking about something called style guides. I don't know, is anybody on the call commission like very involved in like writing and editing of documents? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. I think Shirley says she is. Good. So a style guide is a set of rules that we give to our professional writer editor that tell her, here's how you're going to edit this document. And Western focused style guides have particular rules and ways of incorporating information about race, ethnicity, other languages into a document. And that is the way, those are sometimes called like MLA or Cincinnati style. And they are different ways of doing that. And there is no one way to edit a document. You pick a style guide and it becomes your roadmap and you stick to it. There is a lot of interesting evolution about writing and style that are happening among writers and editors in the last 10 years. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And one of the things we've been not having too much conversation about, but that we used in working on the plan, was we actually looked at a style guide that was built from an Indigenous perspective that was developed for the Native Governance Center in Minnesota. This is a group that its mission is specifically to work on capacity building for Native nations. They mainly focus in the Great Lakes region in Minnesota, but they do national webinars and participate in a lot of other things. But they have a very interesting style guide that we have looked at in terms of language for decolonizing language and style guides, particularly around just general documents, grant applications. Like they're thinking of all of these things. And so this is an example of where, when I read some of the comments, I wonder, and I'm curious as feedback of, do we hybridize our style to for the document to incorporate something more like this? And I'll put a link to this in the chat if anybody would like to poke at it. But I don't have a formal presentation today. I just have this curious question that I do not feel qualified to put my eyes or decision making on, and a sampling of how a lot of people in reading the plan were struggling in this space. In their reading of it, people went as far to call some wording offensive, even though it came from feedback from Indigenous people that they wanted language written in a certain way. So, I mean, I think there can be a lot of feelings about this, and I am happy to word these portions and phrases of the document in a way where there's agreement around it. It's just a matter of how would you like me to do that? And Rose and I have kind of talked about a few of these comments, and they're interesting. Like, I know this feels very minor, but it very much affects the tone of a draft plan. And this is a document that lives and guides our community for 10 years at a time. And so thinking through this is just a matter of course in some ways for me, because I'm the person who writes it and then sends it off into the world and then edits it as needed when we run into amendments. But it matters to me that the language is reflective of how the community wants to be talked about and how the community wants to be included in the document. And there are then after this, maybe if you have feedback on this more linguistic piece of it, there are actually a few more substantive things we might want to get a chance to talk about as well. Lauren, do you have anything to add?
Nope, I don't.
What would be most helpful for me to pull up? I see, oh, sorry, Commissioner Lance, did you want to chime in?
No, thanks. No, I didn't click anything or anything like that. I'm just listening right now.
Hi, Sarah and Lauren. Are there any specifics or in support you're hoping to obtain from the Indigenous Commission? This is Commissioner Zavala.
I think thank you, Commissioner Zavala. I think our first piece is just in navigating these comments for us, we just feel a little uncertainty about what's important here. What is the thing that our eye should be on the ball? Because when if this is an example for me, I've had Elsa and Lauren and I have had to read 2,400 comments, and they are sometimes pointing in different directions, or trying to head in, a reword something in a way that substantially changes meaning. And this is very minor compared to that. But this has such a feeling of importance in that we are trying to center this language when it appears in the plan. And also that we are trying to create for the first time in the plan. I think, I don't know how many, I know we have some new commissioners, but previously when I've presented on the draft plan, the previous plan really had no information that said we will respect Indigenous knowledge or how Indigenous knowledge could be incorporated into what the city might do pertaining to land use planning. It really had a set of policies that said we will market the cultural activities of our community. And it was very commodified in terms of how it spoke about Indigenous people. And so that was a really important thing for staff to reorient between the current plan and the one we're trying to create. And so this feedback gives us, some specificity. I will say I only know that a few of these come from actually people who are Indigenous. And therefore, it leaves me in a bit of a quandary of how should I approach this? What is important to keep in mind, and what is important to put front and center in the speaking and the portrayal of the Indigenous people of our region. And this is the table you were sent, which I'm happy to scroll to any of them if somebody read one and thought, oh, I actually really want to talk about that particular comment, or if the direction was don't respond to some of these comments, just forget them, they're not actually appropriate, or some of these comments are important and a very big deal and you have to be much clearer on it in the plan, that would be very helpful feedback for Lauren and I. Is that clearer? I know I'm not being super clear, but.
Hi, Sarah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Moana.
This is Commissioner Lamont-Vaya. I would just say, looking through some of these comments, that some of them come from a good place and from a place of thinking about nuances and things like that. That being said, I think some of the comments could be disregarded in terms of technicalities and things like that, especially like looking at line 6, where this person says to replace the word Native American with Indigenous, which there's a note from the planning staff that says, like, the census uses the word Native American, right? That's part of the census phrasing and terminology, so that's something that needs to stay that way. Native American is still, at least from my perspective, an acceptable term. It is one of those things that distinguishes in a little bit when we're talking about geopolitical designations and things like that. When we're specifically referring to Indigenous peoples of the Americas, right, of the United States. And so those are kind of some of the things I would disregard. Some of it is mostly clarity. It feels like editing. I would also say on line 11, I think that it's fine to say Native nations, including Navajo, Hopi. Yes, we call ourselves, the term is the Hopi tribe, but I think that's getting into kind of too much specifics. And so, yeah, like that's just, yeah, I don't know the history there, and I can't speak to the Navajo experience because I'm Hopi, but the Sonowa ancestral Puebloans are our ancestors, so I wouldn't say to change wording there. I'd just keep it. We are Indigenous communities, we're Native nations, and kind of a Native nation is different than like calling it the Navajo Nation or something like that. It feels to me like different phrasing, terminology, and word use. So I would just say some of this is things that don't necessarily need to be fixed, remedied. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there other perspectives or feedback on those kinds of details? Do any of them that I guess I wouldn't call it wordsmithing, but discussing our word clarity. Are any of those really important not to disregard when looking through them? Again, I'm happy to scroll around if you want to call out a line number.
Sarah, this is Commissioner Francis. I'd like to also discuss number 11 then with regard to nation or tribe. And there's not a complication. I do believe then the city would just have to do a little bit more research on how that particular tribe chooses to call themselves. So to blanket everybody under Native Nation, that's kind of an easy way to do it. If you don't want to put in the work and get to know actually who you're referencing. So for sure, Navajo wouldn't be referenced as a Navajo tribe because officially they are the Navajo Nation. With Hopi, they are the Hopi tribe because that is their official title that they've chosen. I've not heard Hopi Nation in regard to an official, I guess, change of name like this unless they choose it. So what I'm saying is, going above and beyond and just going and investigating these individual tribes will help you understand how they want to be identified. And then it also helps you be familiar with them. Does that make sense? And please, anybody who wants to chime in on that.
This is Diana.
I think that's Go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is Commissioner Cuddy. I agree with Cheryl Lee Francis. I have family and friends that work for the Navajo Nation, and when we talk about things like this, when we discuss issues going on, they refer to when they talk about what's going on with the Navajo Nation. They say, well, the nation, the nation does this, the nation does that. So and I think a lot of it's just how we perceive ourselves in a way that how we were taught if we took our history classes, in the Native world and Indigenous world. Some didn't. Some are not as educated as, in certain areas. And if a community just goes by, oh, the tribe, I hear that a lot too with Navajos. So, but I've always gone by Navajo Nation, I agree with Cheryl. And and um, um, and with Hopi, I've always heard them as now the Hopi tribe. I yet, I don't really hear Hopi Nation, but I agree with Cheryl Lee. If you really want to have this more clarified, it will do you good to um, be with them and talk with them, not just with the officials, but with the community there as well. That's it.
Sarah, this is Cheryl, Commissioner Francis again. How many tribes were listed in this document? Hold on. About 10? And most of them, again, if you go to their website, easily is another way to help guide you in how their tribal administration, how their community decides to refer themselves as. But it's not a blanketed, I guess that's what I'm going back to, is this blanketed use of Native nations. And in a way, generally, that is that term. So are you there?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Okay.
I was answering your question on mute. I apologize to Commissioner Francis. Yeah, I was just looking and seeing. I know we listed 10 nations or tribes when we listed the names of for the San Francisco peaks. Those are the ones that we are aware and we're able to find preferred names for the peaks. We did not. We have a list. The list of tribes, I think, was actually 14 Native nations. And I guess we were. There's probably a problem with nations being capitalized. If I look at the Native Governance Center, it would have said that our sentence. I don't think I'm sharing the. Am I sharing? I think I'm sharing the table right now. Hang on. Let me switch what I'm sharing. Getting on the page where I have that information. That says the Native Governance Center would have said 14 Native lowercase nations. And to capitalize she was the preferred of many of those tribes, but not universally. And then these are the names that we found were preferred on each of the websites but we did just call them the nations and then list them. We didn't list their official name of their government organization. And we could just say these people are, or say these peoples are too. There's lots of ways this kind of village could be organized, but we were trying to find something that let us, I'll admit there's some evidence of brevity because it's already a 200-page document. And we have two categories of readers I like to think of. We have the modern TLDR, which is too long, didn't read. And then we have the more detail readers. And I'm always kind of trying to find a good balance between the TLDR crowd and the more detailed crowd. I think it's a good like place if we end up in the middle. So we could go and like actually make this more like a bulleted list as well and provide it with full names of the nation or tribe.
Co-chair, Zawala, can you see the list of people who have their hands up? And if you can go to the first one that's on there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was any other comments from there, but yeah, we'll go to Commissioner Lance.
Hi, Sarah. Appreciate you giving us this presentation, and with the city of Flagstaff recognizing the Indigenous people around here with as much information as you're providing in all the comments. I'm kind of thinking, and Rose, you might be able to chime in on this. Like all of us on the commission, I'm sure we could, we got something to say. Like should we be like sitting down or setting aside some time for us to be able to look through this together, to be able to collaborate and then have our response, like type this up, because I know it's going to be more than just 3 of us, so there would be 4. I mean, I know we could do that during our own time. Sorry, I know we could do this during our own time, but I feel like there's something about being together, and versus just doing it on our own. There's something about the collaboration to be able to do it amongst ourselves, because that's where a lot of ideas come from. It isn't like, we are going to be commenting on this. I got something to say about it, but for sure, there's a lot of comments. There's a lot to go through. It isn't like we're probably going to be going through all of them, but we could get a good broad scope of what we want to say down on paper or in email. Could we do that, Rose, to be able to respond? Because I think there's more than just, there's a couple commissioners not here today. I think, we might be able to put something together like that. Just stating, but I appreciate all the information you're putting forth here, Sarah. This is good.
I'll go ahead and answer Co-Chair Lance's question right now. And first I want to ask Sarah, is there a timeline that you'd like to have the feedback? Back to you.
It's probably a whole lot faster than anyone would like. I am to present this material to the City Council, the Board of Supervisors, and the Planning and Zoning Commissions of the city and county on May 2nd. And they want me to have a complete draft of the plan for them to look at. I think my date to get it actually ready for them to see is going to be, let me look backwards in April. I think it'll be April 14th is when I have to have gotten all my changes done and route it.
Okay.
So that's a kind of challenging timeline, but if you want to have a conversation between now and your next meeting and have me come back to your next meeting, that's definitely still fits in that window. I can make very speedy changes if we're very clear on what changes we want.
Okay. I think if we are going to have a meeting that maybe will include a quorum, we need to probably announce it and post it and have it and just this agenda item on it. And we can do that. I have time next Wednesday on the 12th. And then I also have Tuesday the 18th all morning. So I can maybe send you a doodle poll if you'd like, and then we can decide on what the commissioners can do and just have this one agenda item for a special meeting. Yes, no?
Yes, I really like that idea.
Yes.
Sounds good. Yes, if we could establish a meeting time, maybe reach out to us with email, that'd be great.
Okay. So if that's the case, then I'll go ahead and do that and send you something this afternoon.
Rose, this is Commissioner Francis. I was trying to raise my hand, but my button thing doesn't allow me to raise a hand.
Your hand is raised.
Is it? It's not raised on my side, so it keeps I keep pushing it on and off. There's nothing on my side. Can you do the dates for all of March avail on that doodle poll?
All the days that are available for March? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we can, as soon as we're done, we can send all the results back to Sarah. And the other one that I'd like to see is if you'd like to have Sarah be available, just so she hears what you're saying, what you're all saying, and then we can see how that can roll out to have a good report for her. Does that sound okay, Sarah?
I was going to say, if it can be me or Lauren, I think we can provide you the maximum flexibility for your own scheduling, simply because I have some family things going on some weeks coming up. So I'll be out, I think, the week of the 17th. So if Lauren can cover that week and I could cover next week or whatever dates work in there, I think that'll help us if you would like one of us available.
Okay, and then really that's up to the commission. If the commission is in agreement for having one or both, or the other, that would be, can you all say that's okay with you?
Yes.
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 Commissioner Cuddy?
I didn't think I voted.
You're not voting, you're just saying that you're okay with having a special meeting.
Oh, yes.
And then Commissioner Curley? 1, 2, 3.
Sounds good to me.
All right, I'll send you a doodle poll.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes left in the meeting, Rose. Do we want to try and touch on the next agenda item or leave any final thoughts or concerns for this section?
Okay, I guess the main thing is, are we done with Sarah and Lauren? Yes. Okay, so we'll go on to the next one, which is the retreat, right?
Yes, thank you, Sarah and Lauren. The Indigenous Commission retreat, our staff liaison, Rose, wanted to get an idea from us, the commissioners, if this would be beneficial for the operation of the commission and what that would look like. I know, did we host one in 2024? I know there was one in 2023.
I think I
Was
don't
it
think
at
we
City
did.
Hall? I thought it was at City Hall, one of the times that when we got together with the food and stuff like that. I know we did that last year.
Oh, that was a potluck in December?
Yeah, that was just a
No.
potluck. It was just a social thing. We didn't even have I don't think we had an agenda for that time.
Yeah, the
It was
retreat was
just,
back when Jonathan was
yeah.
on the commission.
Yeah, so that's the reason why now. And our fiscal year starts in July, and but the commissioners are appointed mostly in December. So it's kind of a weird situation where we're kind of at opposites ends of the year. So I figured, maybe we can go with our fiscal year this year if you'd like to do that. And if you were open to maybe having a late May, or even somewhere in June to have a retreat, and then, or even July, that would be fine. But I just wanted to get your take on what you'd prefer.
I think May or June would be ideal. As Kristen, it was Kristen, yeah, referenced, July is a pretty busy month. And then I don't know what that timeline looks like with Commissioner Francis participating in that beautification project. Other projects will be coming up. Late May or early June might be most ideal. And it's summer, so a lot of people go on vacation.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you just want to skip it, and just wait until maybe next January to do one. I think that, so I just need some direction from you guys.
Rose, this is Commissioner Francis. When we do this retreat, what are the terms of this retreat as far as funding? Is there something available? Do we go somewhere? Do we have to plan? Is it going to cost? Do we need or is this more of like a large potluck thing where we bring things and we just spend a few hours together, or is it a whole day? What are the what was it like in the past?
Well, it really depends. Usually we had half a day. We usually start around 9ish, and then we have what we need to talk about, and then we end with some sort of meal, which is provided. So usually that's that. But if it's in a retreat, it's also open to the public, so anyone can get online to watch what's going on. So usually what I do is anyone who is wanting to visit or see what's going on with the retreat can come in online, and then we would have our this meeting in the commissioners to be in person. And most often we've had it done on a Saturday before, and that's the reason why we have guests come in online if they need to be present. But the whole thing it has to be accessible by the public. So if anytime we have a quorum, we have to have accessibility by the public. We can make it as all day if we need to, depending on what we'd like to talk about. And that's some of the topics that I'll be getting from you all. And then we can also make it half a day. We can make it during the week, and then we can also make it during the weekend. And normally we have it at City Hall in the conference room. But if people have other ideas, then that's up to you as well.
And so at this retreat, it's considered like another meeting?
Yes.
Oh. So if we have our annual or monthly meeting on Thursdays in 1 month, in May or June or before, we would have 2 meetings or something like that.
Let me clarify. I'm sorry. It is considered a meeting, but not another meeting. We can always switch out. Like if it would hold it in June, then we won't have our June meeting. We'll just have the retreat.
Hey,
and
Rose.
Linda says that late May or June is good on a weekend. Half a day would be great for her.
Hey, Rose, this is Commissioner Lance. Just
okay.
So if we have quorum and there's more than 4 of us, which the next meeting or the retreat, it needs to be videotaped basically, or have like live feed, right? So City Hall has that accessibility. Do we just set up our own if we're not at City Hall in that room? Like, let's say we want to meet somewhere else that's not City Hall, we got to have some kind of something set up behind us, like to video us. That's what
not only do we have to record our meeting, but we also have to have some sort of link for people to come into that link to view what's going on in the meeting. So wherever we pick, it has to have some sort of capability for the general public to link into the meeting.
So Texas Roadhouse would be out of the question then.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking too. Thank you, Commissioner Lance, for clarifying. Rose, I know we're over time. How do we feel about giving the commission some time to think about it and maybe email you with ideas, or we can send a poll out or something so people can kind of sit on it a little longer, and maybe we can make a decision, I guess, in April?
Maybe we can make a decision at the next meeting, or or even have, and the next meeting would be good, because then that gives us a little bit of time. So that will be in April, and we can still
Commissioner
plan.
Curley mentioned that if we are going to have the meeting to go over that spreadsheet that Sarah and Lauren just presented, we could put this on the special meeting agenda as well, and just touch on it for like 10 minutes, give people time to think.
Just with the decision. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe come to something before the end of March.
Okay, we can do that. I was just thinking we can tack it on to the special meeting. But it would be a little bit difficult for us to be discussing something by email when it's not accessible by the general public.
I see.
So that's the hard thing about having to be an organized government thing. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just, you just have to be careful with emails and even text messaging or phone calls and things like that, and talking about a subject.
Okay, so so then we'll just put it on the special meeting agenda for whenever we meet in March.
Just make sure you gathered your thoughts, and also maybe things to have on the agenda for the retreat would be awesome. Okay.
Sweet. Oh, right. I know we are over time, but the next section in the agenda, any informational items to or from commission members, staff, future agenda items, requests anybody wanted to share before leaving?
I have one item before everybody jumps off, please. So Commissioner Francis and I are planning an educational forum, and that's still in the working stages, but I just want you guys to be aware of it, and it won't encompass the commission really, but maybe we'll need your help in some way, is what I was going to say. Is that okay, Charlie?
Yes, thank you, Rose. If anybody is interested, I guess we can talk about it after. Again, like she said, we're not sure if we're going to need the commission or we will. We're still
just advertise, yeah, just meaning passing the word.
Right.
Great. My only update is I've got a flyer out for my rafting thing with my kids. I've mentioned that a few times. It is tax deductible, so you can pay and sponsor a kid or donate or anything like that, and still, I don't think the term is write off, whatever the tax terms are, before the tax season ends on April 15th. So I'll send the flyer to Rose to share with you guys. We got updated information, and we'll be making collateral around my Cocodona 250-mile race to be like a charity bib runner for that program, which is really exciting. Go get some Yaki kids on the river this summer.
I got one item I'd like to share. This is Commissioner Lance.
Okay.
So on April 9th here next month, the Register of Contractors is hosting like a job fair. It's for construction science and technology, and it's geared towards like high school students, college students, veterans, active members of the military that want to look into apprenticeships. So they have active apprenticeships with a lot of the bigger companies in Arizona, like probably TSMC is going to be there. That's the big semiconductor plant that just got built. You know, they can't find enough people to work in their industry, so they just started an apprenticeship with Maricopa Community College, the whole community college for technicians to work in that industry, because it's such a specialized field. But that's just like an example. You know, there'll probably be electrical unions, plumbing unions, but lots of different. So I'd like to share that. I haven't shared any of that kind of information with the commission. So should I like email that to you, Rose, to
yes,
be able to
if you have a flyer, that will be awesome. That way I can just email blast it out and send it to all of you and include others as well.
Yeah, it's just something like, you know, it's going to be pretty good for people that want to be able to get into an apprenticeship. Pretty neat.
Cool.
Okay, then we can motion to close the meeting.
Okay, and then I'll send it to Jenna too. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you for being here always.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jenna.
All right.
Do we need a second motion to close it?
No, you just adjourn.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Give me the
Rose,
time
for your help. Thank you, Co-Chair Lance. See you guys soon. Bye.
12:41.